Hello there, sleepy friend tonight. Let's drift together into the quiet, endless sky of the north, a place where the air itself seems to shimmer with dreams, where colors move like whispers through the darkness, and every breath feels like a secret shared between Earth and the stars. For as long as anyone can remember, people have looked up at that glowing curtain above frozen lands and wondered what it meant. Stories were born from the glow, tales of spirits, of fire in the heavens, of unseen hands painting the night. But beyond those stories lies something just as beautiful, the calm, patient science that makes the sky come alive. High above our world, invisible winds drift from the sun, carrying tiny charged travelers, particles that have crossed millions of miles through silent space. When they reach Earth, they are greeted by something gentle and strong, our planet's magnetic field. It wraps around us like a cloak, guiding those visitors toward the poles, where the atmosphere is thin and ready to receive them. When they arrive, a quiet meeting begins, not with sound, but with light. Each collision between particle and atom is a spark of pure transformation, energy exchanged, shared, and released as color. From those countless moments, the sky becomes alive. Green ribbons, violet edges, faint blushes of red, all woven together in perfect stillness. And though it feels like a dream, it's real. It's physics turned to poetry. If you close your eyes, you can almost feel it. The gentle pulse of the planet, the way our magnetic breath touches the breath of the sun. What we see is only the final sigh of that meeting, a river of color flowing quietly across the heavens. Each ripple a reminder that even in the coldest night, warmth can arrive as light. So breathe slowly. Let the thought of those drifting lights settle into your mind like snow. There's no rush here, no noise, only motion, slow, patient, and eternal. The Northern Lights are not just something to see, they're something to feel, a reminder that wonder can come from the most delicate exchange of energy in the universe. Every color that dances in the northern sky has its own story to tell. Each hue is a voice, a quiet signature left behind by an atom that has briefly touched the breath of a star. When oxygen glows, it speaks in shades of green and red, soft emerald ribbons close to the ground, and deep crimson veils higher above, almost at the edge of space. Nitrogen, more elusive, paints the heavens with purples and blues, its tones cool and fleeting, brushing the edges of the display like frost along a window pane. It is as though the atmosphere itself becomes an artist, using invisible energy as its brush and the darkness of night as its canvas. Each color appears only when conditions are just right, when the height, pressure, and energy of the incoming particles match the delicate rules written into atomic structure. Too much energy and the glow disappears into heat. Too little and nothing shines at all. But in that perfect middle ground, the atoms sing, not with sound, but with light that travels silently across the cold air. To watch those colors unfold is to witness a conversation between worlds. The sun speaks first, sending its charged messengers racing across space. The earth answers softly, turning that invisible call into shimmering motion. Every beam, every ripple, every pale shimmer above the snow is part of that dialogue, a message carried not in words, but in waves of color. Even the order of those colors carries meaning. The green that so often fills the sky forms lower, where oxygen atoms linger thickest. Above them, faint red spreads wide, thin as mist, created by the same element glowing in a rarer air. Still lower, nitrogen flares for an instant, scattering violet streaks that twist and vanish before the mind has time to name them. The layers together form a living gradient, a silent chord of light echoing through the atmosphere. And though the science behind it is precise, the feeling it gives is not made of numbers. It's made of wonder. When you stand beneath that glowing canopy, it is impossible not to sense something sacred in the mix of physics and beauty. You are watching the building blocks of the universe do what they have done for billions of years, sharing energy, returning it, and in that exchange, creating color. So let your thoughts drift upward with those hues. Let the greens soothe you like a lullaby of the earth itself, and the reds wrap you in quiet warmth. Imagine the blues whispering above them, a distant harmony, faint but endless. All together, they form the lullaby of the northern night, far above the green bands, where the air grows thin and the world below begins to fade into shadow. Another light unfolds, crimson, quiet, and rare. This red aurora glows near the very edge of space, in a region where oxygen can hold its excitement for much longer before releasing it. Because the air is so empty, each atom waits in solitude, breathing out its color only after a long, patient pause. The result is a veil of soft scarlet that drifts slowly across the heavens, as if the night itself were blushing. This red glow is the gentlest of all. It moves like mist and has no sharp outline, spreading in delicate sheets that hover far above the brighter green waves. To the eye, it feels almost like an emotion more than a sight, a quiet sigh of light floating beyond reach. When the crimson crowns the sky, the world below looks smaller, quieter, almost dreamlike. The stars seem to swim through it like sparks caught in a deep sea. Sometimes, during strong solar storms, the red light reaches lower, closer to the horizon, where it mingles faintly with green and violet. The colors merge into something strange and otherworldly, a living dusk that seems to breathe in slow motion. Observers describe it as peaceful yet haunting, a beauty that speaks in silence. For even though it is made of atoms and energy, it feels like something ancient, a memory written in the thin air above the earth. The red aurora tells a story of patience. Unlike the quick flashes of blue or purple, its glow is the mark of endurance, of atoms holding their energy in stillness before letting it fall away as light. That waiting gives it its gentleness, its dreamlike calm. It is as though the sky must first learn to be quiet before it can shine in that hue. And when it does, the color lingers like the final note of a long song, trembling softly before fading into darkness. From the ground, the crimson bands may look faint, but from orbit, astronauts see them spread like a vast ocean of fire at the top of the atmosphere. They describe it as a horizon made of light, thin, weightless, and endless. It moves so slowly that it feels eternal, yet it is made of moments too brief to count. Each flicker, each soft pulse, is a single atom whispering its energy back to the void. So if you ever find yourself beneath a red-tinted sky, take a moment to simply stand and breathe. Know that you are watching something both fragile and immense, an echo of the sun carried across space and released in silence. It is not just light, it is time, distance, and energy meeting in perfect stillness, a reminder that even in the cold emptiness of night, warmth still finds a way to glow. Every aurora begins long before the night, in a place far beyond the blue of our sky. Deep inside the sun, magnetic fields twist and tighten like threads wound too tight. Eventually, they snap and rearrange, hurling vast clouds of charged particles into space. These eruptions, solar winds and storms, race outward at hundreds of kilometers per second, carrying energy across the solar system. When those invisible gusts reach Earth, they meet our planet's magnetic shield, and the quiet storm of light begins. It's strange to think that something so tranquil to the eye is born from such chaos. On the surface of the sun, the energy that powers the aurora is violent and wild, hotter than any fire, fierce enough to sculpt the shape of space itself. But by the time that same energy touches our sky, it has softened into something gentle, almost compassionate. The same force that can stir magnetic fields strong enough to disrupt satellites becomes, here on Earth, a calm green glow above the snow. When the solar wind strikes Earth's magnetic field, it doesn't stop. It flows around us, bending and stretching our magnetic bubble like a river around a stone. The two fields, one from our world, one from the sun, twist together, sometimes merging, sometimes resisting. And in those moments of connection, energy crosses the boundary, spilling into near-Earth space. Hours later, when the sky darkens over the poles, that stored energy returns home as light. It is a beautiful kind of symmetry, the violent breath of a star transformed into a whispering glow over the quiet Earth. Every shimmering band of the aurora is an echo of that distant storm, retold in color and stillness. The sun speaks in flares and plasma. The Earth answers in light and silence. For scientists, this relationship is a conversation that never ends. Every flare, every burst, every ripple in the solar wind leaves its signature across our skies. In data and in dreams, the two worlds stay connected, our small, blue planet dancing forever in the breath of its parent star. So when you stand beneath the aurora, remember this: you are not just watching the sky, you are witnessing the language of the universe, the way energy moves, transforms, and softens as it travels through space and finds a home in beauty. From the heart of the sun to the cold edge of the Arctic, light has made a journey millions of miles long just to rest for a moment above your head. And in that quiet glow, the universe seems to sigh, its power turned to peace. Far beyond the reach of any city, two worlds of color unfold together, one above the Arctic, the other across the frozen Antarctic. The northern and southern lights, though separated by oceans and continents, are twins born of the same breath of the sun. When energy pours into Earth's magnetic field, it flows along invisible threads that connect one hemisphere to the other. And as those threads shimmer with charged particles, the sky at each pole begins to glow, answering its opposite in a silent duet of light. From above, satellites see them as twin ovals encircling the planet, two halos of emerald and violet circling the dark caps of the world. They flicker and move in near-perfect rhythm, as though the planet were wearing two crowns that pulse in time with one another. It's an elegant symmetry, yet not a flawless one. Subtle differences in the magnetic field, the tilt of the Earth, and the direction of the solar wind give each hemisphere its own accent, its own tone in the cosmic song. When a bright wave rises in the north, a matching shimmer often answers in the south. But sometimes one burns stronger, stretched wider, or painted in deeper shades, shaped by the magnetic breath of the planet as it turns through space. Still, the two remain linked, reflections across the globe, woven together by the same current of solar energy flowing through the Earth's core. To imagine this connection is to see the planet as it truly is, not just a sphere of rock and water, but a living magnet wrapped in light. Each aurora, whether it dances above snow or sea ice, belongs to both halves of the Earth. A beam that rises in the northern sky may travel along a magnetic thread and return as a shimmer in the south, a journey of light that bridges worlds unseen. Even in their silence, these paired lights speak of unity. They show that the world beneath our feet is part of something vast, that every point on the globe is tied to its opposite by forces invisible yet undeniable. While one hemisphere sleeps beneath ribbons of color, the other dreams the same dream. It's a reminder that wonder is not bound by distance, that even on opposite sides of the planet, the same beauty unfolds above us all. So as you picture the aurora drifting across the Arctic night, imagine its twin glowing in the far south at that very moment, unseen by most, yet alive in the darkness. Two whispers from the same source, crossing space to meet in harmony, wrapping our world in a shared and endless light. The aurora dances in silence. No rustle, no hum, no whisper reaches the ear, only the faint pulse of wind and the beating of your own heart. And yet, people across the centuries have spoken of hearing it. Soft crackles, quiet hisses, the faint song of light moving through the air. Could it be that the Northern Lights make their own music? For generations, Arctic travelers and northern villagers have described sounds that seem to come from the sky itself. Old stories speak of the lights whispering as they swayed, like spirits calling to one another beyond the clouds. Hunters on still nights claimed they could hear faint static when the aurora was bright, a brittle crackling as though frost were breaking far above. Scientists once doubted these tales, thinking them illusions born from awe or imagination. But in time, evidence began to suggest there might be truth in the myth. In recent years, researchers have recorded faint sounds during strong auroral displays, soft pops and clicks detected close to the ground, long before the light reaches the air above. The cause remains uncertain, but one theory holds that when the aurora is intense, charged particles alter the electric field near Earth's surface. That sudden change can make the atmosphere discharge quietly, producing brief electrical snaps that our ears catch as sound. It is as though the light's energy, though born high above, finds a way to hum through the world below. Even so, the true voice of the aurora may not be one we can hear. It speaks in magnetic pulses, in frequencies too low for our senses, yet they ripple through the ionosphere, through radio waves, through the instruments of satellites that orbit in the darkness. When scientists translate those frequencies into audible tones, the result is haunting, a low, flowing chorus that rises and falls like the lights themselves. To listen is to hear space breathing, but perhaps there's a reason the aurora's sound is mostly silence. It reminds us that not everything wondrous must speak to be understood. The quiet is part of its language, a stillness that lets your thoughts slow down until the world feels wide and infinite again. Sometimes the greatest music of all is the hush that allows beauty to be felt rather than heard. So, when you find yourself beneath the glowing sky, let the silence envelop you. Listen not for what your ears can catch, but for what your heart can feel. The low rhythm of the universe turning, the echo of the sun meeting the earth in perfect quiet. The Northern Lights may not sing in sound, but their silence is a lullaby older than any song we know. Long before telescopes or satellites, before electricity or maps of magnetic fields, people stood beneath the same sky and watched the heavens burn with color. For them, the aurora was not science. It was story, mystery, and meaning woven into the darkness. Each culture found its own way to explain what it saw, giving the lights voices, spirits, and purpose. And through those stories, the Northern Lights became more than a sight. They became a bridge between the earth and the unseen. In the far north of Europe, the Sami people called the light Skew of Sahas, the light you can hear. They believed the aurora carried great power, a presence to be respected. Children were told not to to wave or whistle beneath it, for the spirits of the sky might notice and reach down. To them, the shimmering arcs were living beings, guardians perhaps, or messengers from realms beyond the human world. Across the ocean, the Inuit of Canada and Greenland had their own stories. Some said the lights were the souls of ancestors playing ball with a walrus skull in the afterlife, their laughter echoing faintly in the cold. Others believed the aurora was a guiding flame, showing the spirits of the dead the way to the next world. For the Inuit, the sky was alive with memory, a place where life and death continued to dance together in color. In Finland, the word for the northern lights, revanchelet, means foxfires. The legend tells of a magical Arctic fox sprinting across the snowy hills, its fur brushing against the mountains and sending sparks into the sky. Each sweep of its tail painted the heavens in shifting light. In that story, motion itself becomes beauty, a reminder that even a creature's passing can leave wonder behind. Farther west, the Norse imagined the aurora as reflections of the Valkyrie's armor, shining maidens who carried the souls of fallen warriors to Valhalla. When the sky glowed red or green, they said it was the gleam of their shields flashing across the heavens as they rode. Even in myth, the light was tied to passage between life and death, between worlds, between the mortal and divine. Though the tales differ, their feeling is the same: reverence, awe, connection. Each story tries to capture what language can't, the quiet realization that the universe is alive, that it moves and breathes around us. And in their own way, those ancient eyes understood what we still feel today, that to see the aurora is to witness something that does not belong entirely to this world. So, as the lights flow above us, remember those who first watched them without knowing what they were, yet somehow knew what they meant. That beauty can be sacred, even when its source is unknown. Every people who lived under the dancing skies made their own meaning of it, each myth carrying a reflection of the same awe, the sense that the heavens were not distant but alive. In Greenland, the northern lights were thought to be the souls of children playing across the sky, laughing as they chased each other between the stars. Some said the soft crackling heard on calm nights was their laughter tumbling through the cold air. Others believed the lights were torches carried by spirits guiding the departed to rest, a celestial procession winding its way home. In parts of northern Canada, the Cree told of the aurora as the fires of ancestors, burning gently to remind the living that they were never truly alone. They said the colors flickered brighter when loved ones thought of those who had passed, a message of connection written in the night. That belief turned each appearance of the lights into something deeply human, a reunion across the boundary of life and death. The Chinese once described red auroras as celestial dragons, their long bodies twisting and curling through the heavens as omens of power and change. In medieval Europe, where the lights were rare, they were often seen as portents, messages from divine or cosmic forces. To farmers and kings alike, they were signs of great events to come, storms, battles, or shifts in fortune. Even when misunderstood, the aurora carried weight, as if the sky itself were speaking in color instead of words. The indigenous people of North America's far north, the Algonquin and the Athabascan, told of the lights as flames from the fires of the great creator Nanabajo, who made the world, and then lit these fires to remind humankind that they were watched over. Each movement of the lights was a gesture of comfort, a sign that creation had not forgotten its children. And in those frozen lands where night can last for months, that reassurance meant everything. In Japan, ancient stories said that children conceived under the northern lights would be blessed with good fortune, their souls touched by the beauty of the heavens. For lovers, the aurora became a promise, a cosmic witness to affection beneath the stars. Even now, people travel north for that very reason, to stand beneath the lights and make wishes as they flow. Across all these myths runs a single thread: that light is alive, aware, and compassionate. It watches, listens, connects. Long before anyone spoke of electrons or magnetic fields, they knew that something profound passed through the world when the sky began to glow. And though we now understand the science, the feeling hasn't changed. We still look upward, still fall silent, still sense something more than color, something vast and tender that reminds us how small and precious we are. For as long as people have watched the heavens, they have recorded the aurora in stories, carvings, and scrolls that stretch back thousands of years. These glowing veils of light have appeared in ancient manuscripts and sailors' logs, in cave art and royal chronicles. The earliest written accounts come from China, where observers described celestial vapors spreading across the northern sky as early as 2600 BC. They wrote of dragons twisting above the horizon, of lights that shimmered like fire reflected in water. Even then, before compasses or telescopes, they were documenting the touch of the sun on Earth. In Babylonian and Greek records, there are mentions of blood-red skies that terrified entire cities, thought to be omens from the gods. Historians now believe these were auroral storms, strong enough to reach far from the poles. Roman scholars described armies in the sky with spears of light clashing above the empire, a poetic interpretation of geomagnetic storms painted across their world. For them, the heavens were a stage, and the aurora was the drama of creation itself. Medieval monks saw the same glow centuries later and recorded it in illuminated manuscripts, drawing colored arches above silhouettes of castles and forests. In one entry from the 12th century, a monk in England described fiery shapes that rolled through the night like the tide of a Red Sea. Across the oceans, the Norse sagas told of Valkyries riding through the aurora's shimmer, their armor scattering sparks of light. These writings became more than history. They were the first attempts to translate wonder into words. By the 17th century, as explorers ventured farther north, the lights became a subject of fascination rather than fear. European travelers described them in letters home, the sky aflame, yet cold to the touch. Sailors navigating Arctic waters used the aurora as both warning and comfort, a reminder that though they were far from home, the earth still reached out to them through the glow. Then came the age of science. In 1621, the French scientist Pierre Gassendi gave the phenomenon its modern name, Aurora Borealis, the dawn of the north. He saw in it the soft colors of morning spreading through the night sky, and even with new knowledge, the sense of mystery never vanished. The aurora was still the meeting of two worlds, the known and the infinite. Today, scientists study it with instruments that orbit high above the poles, yet their wonder mirrors that of the first humans who gazed upward in silence. Whether carved on stone, written in ink, or captured in data, the record of the Northern Lights is really a record of our own curiosity, the endless desire to understand beauty without diminishing it. So when you watch the sky unfold in color, remember, you are part of a story written not just in books, but in light itself, a story that began long before your first breath and will continue long after the last flicker fades. In every age, the aurora has been more than beauty, it has been a guide. Before maps and satellites. Before even the idea of north and south was fixed, travelers watched the skies for direction. They saw where the lights gathered, where the heavens pulsed with green and red, and they knew that was the way toward the pole, the world's magnetic heart. The aurora unknowingly revealed to humankind the presence of forces far beyond sight. Our planet is a compass wrapped in invisible lines of power. At its core, molten metals swirl, generating magnetic fields that extend far into space. This magnetic field is what shapes the aurora, guiding charged particles to the poles, but it also shapes the way we navigate the world. Every compass needle trembling toward the north responds to the same invisible structure that paints the sky with light. When you watch the aurora shimmer, you are witnessing magnetism itself glowing for an instant in the air. The first explorers of the Arctic understood this connection instinctively. They sailed through seas of ice, guided by stars and by the whisper of the compass, knowing that somewhere above them, unseen in the fog, the aurora danced. They couldn't see the lines of magnetic force, but they could feel them in the way their instruments twitched, in the way their sense of direction seemed to pulse. And though they did not yet know why, they knew that both needle and light were answering to the same cosmic call. When the aurora flares during solar storms, the compass can falter, its steady direction trembling or drifting. Even now, pilots flying near the poles watch their instruments with care when the lights grow bright. For those luminous veils are not just art, they are evidence of great electric tides moving through the upper air, capable of bending the path of invisible arrows. The same storm that turns the sky to color can also make the magnetic north dance. To think of the aurora as a living compass is to see the earth as one great instrument, a planet humming with energy, its field lines reaching from deep within its molten heart to far beyond the atmosphere. The lights trace those lines like ink, revealing the hidden structure of our world for a fleeting moment. In their glow, you can glimpse the geometry of existence, arcs of force connecting heaven and earth, energy flowing in perfect balance. And perhaps that is what the ancients felt when they stood beneath the aurora, not fear, but recognition. Somehow, they knew they were standing within the pattern that guides everything: migration, navigation, even the pulse of life itself. The aurora doesn't just show us where north is, it shows us that we are never lost, only connected to something larger, luminous, and constant. So when the compass needle trembles and the lights begin to rise, take comfort. The world is not in chaos. It is simply speaking its magnetic language once again. In our modern age, the aurora no longer guides ships through ice, yet it still reaches quietly into our lives. Every time the northern lights shimmer, they carry not only beauty, but a pulse of energy that ripples through the invisible web of our technology. What once guided explorers now whispers to satellites, compasses, and radio waves, reminding us that even our most advanced creations are still tied to the breath of the sun. When a strong solar storm sends torrents of charged particles toward Earth, the magnetic field flexes and trembles in response. That tremor, though imperceptible to us, stirs electric currents in the upper atmosphere, currents strong enough to reach down into the world of machines. Telecommunication lines, power grids, and orbiting satellites all feel the same magnetic breath that paints the aurora. Sometimes, if the storm is powerful, the lights that soothe the eye can also disrupt the very systems that connect us. In March of 1989, a great auroral storm swept across the planet, so intense that it could be seen as far south as the Caribbean. For a few brief hours, night skies from Texas to Spain glowed with the color of polar dawn, but beneath that beauty, unseen currents surged through Earth's crust and power networks. In Canada, a transformer failed, and an entire province fell into darkness. It was a quiet reminder that the same force that creates wonder can also command respect. Even so, scientists and engineers now study these storms not as threats, but as cosmic messengers. They read the patterns of the aurora as forecasts, signs of how the sun is speaking to us across space. With each glow, data flows through satellites that watch from orbit, mapping the delicate dance between solar wind and magnetosphere. The colors we see are only one part of that story, the visible edge of a great, invisible storm of particles and fields. And yet, despite the power and precision of our instruments, the lights remain what they have always been, a meeting of nature and mystery. We can measure the speed of the particles, name their origins, predict their arrival, but we cannot make them less beautiful. The aurora humbles even the most advanced of machines, reminding us that technology, for all its brilliance, still depends on the same magnetic shield that once guided firelight on stone. When the next storm comes and satellites flicker, the sky will glow again in reply, green, violet, and red flowing like slow lightning across the horizon. The world will hold its breath for a moment, watching the colors move and fade, and remember that every signal we send, every light we build, still travels under the protection of a living field that has glowed for eons. So while we watch our instruments, the aurora watches us, calm, patient, and eternal, still tracing the connection between wonder and understanding. Above the aurora's flowing veil, far beyond the reach of sound or air, satellites drift in their endless orbits. From their vantage point, they do not just observe the lights, they pass through them. As the Earth turns, spacecraft glide in and out of glowing curtains of charged particles, crossing regions alive with invisible currents and magnetic whispers. What we see from below as beauty, they experience as energy. Each auroral storm leaves fingerprints on the instruments that circle our planet. Charged particles can build up on the surfaces of satellites, creating static that hums through their delicate systems. Sometimes the voltage grows strong enough to spark, momentarily confusing sensors or resetting computers. Even the International Space Station, wrapped in shielding and metal, occasionally feels that faint electric breath, a reminder that the aurora is more than a show. It is a living force flowing between the sun and the earth. Yet those same spacecraft also help us understand the lights better than ever before. They watch from both inside and above the auroral oval, sending back images in wavelengths our eyes can't see: ultraviolet, X-ray, infrared, layers of light, invisible but real. Through their eyes, we glimpse the full architecture of the aurora, the spiraling corridors of energy that wrap our world in color and motion. They show us that the lights are not flat curtains, but three-dimensional structures stretching hundreds of kilometers deep, moving like fluid streams of plasma through the upper air. The most remarkable moments come when satellites pass directly through a burst of auroral energy. Their sensors record cascades of electrons pouring downward, the exact currents that paint the sky below. For a few seconds, human-made instruments drift through the very river of space that becomes the Northern Lights, floating in the source of what we see as beauty. In that crossing, science and poetry meet, data and awe flowing together. There is something profoundly humbling about knowing that every photograph, every measure, and every glowing frame of data is gathered from within the light itself. When the aurora flares, the sky is not just a canvas, but an active field, a dynamic, breathing system that spacecraft must navigate as gently as we once navigated seas. And just as sailors once read the shimmer of stars for direction, scientists now read the shimmer of the aurora to understand the sun's moods. In the end, both voyages across oceans or orbits depend on the same thing: listening to what nature reveals. The aurora, seen from above, from below, or from the edge of space, reminds us that even our highest machines still move within the same rhythm of the universe. We are explorers, not only of distance, but of light itself, and the sky, in its glowing silence, continues to teach us how to listen. Far above the clouds, beyond the reach of weather and sound, lies a layer of our atmosphere that glows quietly in the dark. It is called the ionosphere, a realm of charged atoms and drifting currents where the earth and space intertwine. Here, radio waves bend, magnetic storms whisper, and the aurora paints its light upon an invisible sea. This thin shell of air is where the calm of our world meets the wild breath of the sun. Every time the aurora shines, the ionosphere stirs. Electric fields shimmer through its gases, stirring waves of plasma that move like unseen tides. Energy from solar particles warms the air at the edge of space, causing it to expand slightly, as though the planet itself were stretching after a long sleep. In that motion, atoms and electrons collide in endless patterns, each meeting producing a spark, a color, a note in the sky's quiet song. It is easy to think of the aurora as just a display above the poles, but it is really a sign of this living boundary between Earth and space. The ionosphere is both fragile and powerful. Fragile because it is thin, no thicker than a few hundred kilometers. Powerful because it shapes the way we communicate and navigate every day. Radio signals bounce from it, GPS signals travel through it, and satellites skim its upper edge. When the aurora flares, the ionosphere trembles, and for a brief moment, the flow of energy across our world shifts in harmony with the glow above. During strong geomagnetic storms, scientists measure great currents called auroral electrojets flowing through the ionosphere like rivers of electricity. These invisible streams encircle the poles, carrying millions of amperes of current. They are the arteries of the aurora, feeding its light and motion. When the electrojets surge, the green curtains brighten, and the heavens seem to pulse with hidden strength. Yet all of it happens silently in the thin air where sound cannot travel. For researchers, the ionosphere is like a mirror between two worlds, reflecting signals, reflecting light, reflecting our understanding of how deeply connected everything truly is. It shows us that space is not far away. It begins just above our heads. The same atoms that make up our breath become part of the aurora when touched by solar wind, and the same sky that shelters us also serves as a stage for cosmic conversation. So when you gaze up at the Northern Lights, know that you are seeing the upper edge of your own atmosphere illuminated from within. You are watching the Earth's skin shimmer as it absorbs the breath of the sun, turning that touch into color and calm. It is a reminder that even the emptiest spaces above us are alive, charged with energy, waiting to glow. Every few decades, the sun reminds us of its true power. Most auroras are gentle things, faint ribbons flowing quietly over the poles, but sometimes the star that gives us life exhales with uncommon force. These moments are called geomagnetic storms, and their beauty is matched only by their magnitude. They are the nights when the aurora breaks free from the Arctic and drifts far into southern skies, painting continents that rarely know such light. The greatest of these storms are remembered not just just for their beauty, but for their astonishment. In 1859, a powerful solar eruption known as the Carrington event sent a cloud of plasma hurtling toward Earth. When it struck, the planet's magnetic field shuddered. The sky erupted in red and green, so bright that miners in Colorado began making breakfast, thinking dawn had come early. In the Caribbean, sailors watched the horizon glow as if cities burned beneath the sea. Telegraph wires sparked and caught fire. Operators were shocked by their instruments even when the power was disconnected. For 2 nights, the entire planet shimmered in the language of the sun. A century later, in 1921, another storm rolled across the world, smaller but strong enough to melt telegraph equipment and light the skies of New York with auroral flames. In 1989, a similar pulse caused the blackout of Quebec, and in 2003, the so-called Halloween storms sent auroras rippling across Europe, Asia, and even Texas. Cameras caught the heavens streaked with green and violet, while power grids groaned under invisible strain. Each time, humanity looked upward in awe and humility, reminded that our world still answers to celestial weather. Though modern satellites now track these eruptions, warning us days in advance, there is still something breathtaking about witnessing them unfold. When the sky flares red above lands that rarely see snow, when cities fall silent and people wander outside to watch, it feels as though the universe has opened its heart. The aurora that night is not the delicate dancer of the Arctic. It is a vast ocean of light, roaring silently across continents. For scientists, these storms are valuable, each one a rare experiment written by the sun itself. They teach us how energy travels through space, how magnetic fields bend and heal, how fragile and resilient our planet can be. For dreamers, they are something simpler, proof that even in the age of satellites and neon lights, the cosmos can still surprise us. So if you ever see the sky flare unexpectedly, glowing where it never has before, pause for a moment. You are witnessing what generations before you saw, the Earth answering the sun's call with color and grace, reminding us all that our world still dances to rhythms older than history. There are moments in history when the aurora has burned so brightly that darkness itself seemed to vanish. Eyewitnesses wrote of nights so luminous that one could read a newspaper beneath the glow or see their own shadows cast upon the snow. For those who lived far from the poles, it must have felt like witnessing the sky itself awaken. During the great storm of 1859, the Carrington event, countless accounts tell of crimson light spilling over the world. In Havana, the tropical air shimmered with a soft rose hue. In the Rocky Mountains, travelers awoke, thinking the morning sun had risen hours too soon. The color was so intense that people compared it to a fire consuming the heavens, yet there was no smoke, no sound, only light, pure and endless. In Australia, the same glow appeared to the south, a mirror of the north, as though the earth had become a single glowing lantern, adrift in the dark. What must it have been like to see such a thing? To stand beneath a sky that glowed from horizon to horizon, every star drowned in shifting curtains of green and red. Many who saw it wrote of awe, others of fear. Church bells rang in some towns, calling people to prayer. In others, crowds simply stood together in silence, their faces lit by light older than their understanding. Even the animals were restless, horses pawing the ground, birds fluttering in confusion, as if nature itself sensed the sky's electric pulse. Yet behind that wonder lay the simple truth of connection. What happened on the sun had reached across 93 million miles to touch the heart of Earth, a burst of energy that began in a fiery eruption on a distant star found its way here, translated into color and motion. That same light, which might have destroyed, could, through balance and distance, become beauty instead. Modern science tells us that if a storm like the Carrington event were to strike today, its effects would ripple through the world's technology. Satellites might falter, power grids could hum and fail. But even then, as our instruments blinked and screens went dark, the sky above would bloom again with color, proof that nature still writes its messages in light. Perhaps that is why such storms, rare and fierce, are remembered not for what they damage, but for how they make us feel. They remind us that we live on a planet, alive, with invisible threads, forever touched by the energy of the cosmos. And when that energy becomes visible, the boundary between day and night, between Earth and space, seems to blur into one endless glow. So if you ever see the night grow bright enough to read by, pause and breathe. You are watching history repeat itself, the sun and earth meeting once more, their ancient conversation rekindled in silence and light. When we gaze at the aurora, we see only part of its true form. Our eyes catch the greens, the reds, and faint purples, but much of the light it gives off lies beyond the reach of human sight. Invisible hues ripple across wavelengths that our eyes were never meant to perceive: ultraviolet, infrared, and even soft X-rays, all streaming silently through the air. If we could see as a satellite sees, the sky would be brighter still, painted in colors unknown to language. Above the visible glow, ultraviolet light floods through the upper atmosphere. These wavelengths reveal oxygen and nitrogen shining far higher than the green bands we know, forming delicate crowns of radiance that stretch hundreds of kilometers deep into space. Though we cannot see them, these ultraviolet auroras are recorded by orbiting instruments, showing that the night sky is far richer and more intricate than we imagine. Each invisible hue marks a different energy, a different rhythm in the cosmic dance. Beneath the red veils, the air glows faintly in infrared, warmth released from atoms returning to calm after their brief excitement. This hidden glow cannot be seen by human eyes, yet it contributes to the aurora's quiet balance, the way a low hum completes a melody. Even as we stand beneath the green ribbons, our skin is touched by light we cannot see, energy passing through us as gently as a sigh. When scientists translate these invisible wavelengths into color-coded images, the result is astonishing. A tapestry of hidden layers, each one pulsing at its own frequency. It's as though the aurora is not a single performance, but an orchestra of light, with harmonies that our senses cannot fully grasp. The visible green we adore is just the surface melody. Beneath it, unseen notes vibrate across the spectrum, completing the song. In that sense, the aurora teaches us something profound about perception. What we call reality is only what our senses allow us to notice. Everything beyond that is still there, waiting quietly beyond sight. The universe is filled with color and sound we will never experience directly, and yet it surrounds us always. The aurora is one of the rare moments when we glimpse that truth, when the invisible becomes visible for a while. So next time you look up at the sky and see the faint sweep of green or violet, imagine all that lies hidden behind it. Imagine ultraviolet threads curling unseen above and infrared warmth glowing softly below. You are watching only one layer of an infinite canvas, a fragment of light made visible to human eyes. And in that realization lies something comforting, that the world is far larger, richer, and more beautiful than than we can ever completely know.